John Ritter, Scrubs.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tremendous...
That was just a fantastic
It's hard to know what to say because you don't want to put yourself, as an actor, you don't want to put yourself in the same sentence. Do you know what I mean a little bit?
Yeah.
But I will say, he's not just by that show, by everybody in the community, so beloved. Mm-hmm. And I think there was a lot of pressure on the guys at Scrubs, Bill Lawrence, to forge a tribute and forge it quickly. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting you say that because I think we all sort of felt the same way, that we weren't doing disservice to his memory.
Yeah.
Like it was when it's so immediate, it's tricky. Mm-hmm. For those of you guys who don't know what I'm talking about, we were set to do an episode of Scrubs where John Ritter plays Zach Braffin, my father, and he passed away suddenly, and you may recall that. It was just such a complete shock, and I think there was a sense of like, do we just step back, or do we try and forge a tribute quickly? And they forged a tribute, and I thought it was tremendous. Just an amazing human being, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a very significant part for us, to be a part of it.
So what's the appeal of this guy?
Very handsome. It's nice to be able to play a handsome guy. I couldn't even do it with a straight face. This is a funny. This is a strange roundtable, and these are strange roundtables as we do the opening press for this, because there's a lot that I can't say about this guy, and that's not to be mean or cruel. It's just like normally, as many of you know, I'm fairly forthcoming. In this instance, I will say, being a part of something that has almost a century of mythology behind it is pretty enjoyable. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is reuniting with guys like Greg Berlanti, who I've worked with a few times, and Andrew Kreisberg. A number of times, Greg has said, "I think I have something that you'll enjoy." And on Jack and Bobby, it was a gay, cocaine-addicted brother. On Eli Stone, it was Eli's father with a secret, and he's never let me down. So when the guy calls, it's kind of like, all right, he called on this one, and he's delivered on every front.
Talk a bit about your own relationship with comics generally, but particularly, and no disrespect, but as a slightly older man, having lived as a child in an era where comic books weren't fully exploited in other media. It wasn't all movies and TV shows, it was actually comic books in a kind of pure, unadapted form.
Yeah, what people don't know about is that I drew the first Flash comic book in 1919. It was ridiculous. The boys were just coming home from war, and it kind of got lost in the shuffle. And so it's funny the way it's a weird thing. I think the genesis of all of this is that thing that you're talking about a little bit. Just the getting lost within, the appreciation of it for young girls and boys at a very young age. And it's significant. And I think then that feeling is so comforting. The familiar person, and that was for I was in Africa. We had no TV or video or any of that stuff, but we had comic books, and it's a very reassuring thing. The comic books I grew up with were like, Tintin and Flash, Batman, very significant, and it's like, it's cheating a little bit because you're not reading a book, I don't have to use my, but I think it has an effect at a young age, and I think a lot of which is a completely obvious statement, but a lot of this comes from that, and I think the one thing that happened somewhere along the way, people are like, it's okay to do that, I think that when I was like growing up, when I was a young adult, I think maybe there was a little bit of like, well, you're like comic books, like you're not 5, 6, 7, but now it's like, that's cool. So, I'm beneficiary of that right now, so I'm happy that it's become this huge, massive thing.
Did you go back and delve into the?
It was a very humbling thing. I kind of thought, well, I know what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up, I had Flash comic books in Africa. It's like these, And then I got alongside the keepers of the, the thing, and realized very much a neophyte. Like really thought I was knowledgeable, and the way these guys rat-a-tat-tat storylines and characters, and I realized that I don't know what I'm talking about. But good. So it's a learning curve for me, which is nice as well.
Was there one particular characteristic you really picked on that you wanted to make sure you played?
It's funny, like when Andrew and Greg get that question, I watch them say, turn the mics and cameras off and I'll answer that. You know what I mean? The short answer is yes. That's it for now. That's it for now. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about sort of going off canon and maybe making this Flash take its own direction in telling a story? I mean, stick with some of the canon, but take a little bit of its own.
It's easier for my specific character to do that, which will sort of get unveiled as the season progresses. It's a lot harder for Grant as Barry Allen, and the nice thing about it is we, not to put too fine a point on it, but when Ben Affleck jumps into Batman and all that kind of stuff, there's pressures on because of what's come before and because of the mythology, where in our case, those pressures are lessened simply because we have Jeff Johns as our guy. Like, I'm reading the current 104 script and it's written by Jeff, and Kai is just kind of like, the fact that the guy that's, he's the guy. So our direction, I think it'd be very hard to find fault with our direction, Also, I don't know that the interest is a reinvention at all. Those guys love it, know it very well, and want to tell that story in the most electrifying way they can. This I will say about Greg and Jeff and Andrew as they start the season. They're fearless, which is, oftentimes if I'm sitting here talking to you, we did this pilot, right? And the pilot must be decent because I'm talking to you, Well, that's not always the case. But you know what I mean, right? So I'm here. And oftentimes in television, the temptation is to then copy the pilot for episode 2, 3, 4. So, because, we did something right. So let's just keep doing the same thing. And, sometimes your first season is, a little bit, it doesn't really have a ascendancy to it. Whereas these guys, I think in particular, having gone through Arrow, knowing the network brand and knowing that this is an opportunity for the network to bring in a whole different demographic, these guys are completely fearless.